ESPN.
Johnny Manziel threw for a career-high 372 yards in the Browns' 30-9 loss to the Steelers. Manziel had a career-high 53 dropbacks Sunday and was sacked on 6 of them, twice as many sacks as his previous single-game career high. Skip, did Manziel earn the starting job?
Stephen A. Molly, I'll say no. If you're asking me, does Johnny give them a better chance to win next week and the next, better than Josh McCown? I'll say no to that. I do think that Johnny played the best as a pro. I've seen him yesterday. Those were impressive yards. Now, a lot of them came in garbage time. A lot of them came with the game out of reach. And I didn't love the 6 sacks. I didn't love the interception that he threw on the run. But in general, I saw him throw with velocity and confidence and accuracy I have not seen. Patton obviously is on the hot seat. If he's fighting for his job and he didn't even want to draft Johnny Manziel, clearly he wants to stay with Josh McCown because he gives him a little better chance to win a couple of more games down the stretch. But if this organization wants to figure out what Johnny is or is not, clearly, if you're playing for the future, you should go with Johnny now. If you want to win games, that may not be the way to go. Your thoughts?
Well, see, Skip, here's my thing. I'm of the mindset that I think that he's earned it from this respect. You brought Josh McCown in fully willing to recognize that he wasn't the future. And if he's not the future and you're 2-8 and you're not going to the postseason, isn't it time to find out whether or not Johnny Manziel is the guy? It's time to find that out once and for all. And even though let's be fair to Mike Patton here. He's been dealt an unfair hand. Because even though you like Johnny Manziel, he didn't. And if he didn't, and he's the coach, and he had the GM siding with him, then the owner should not have stepped in and forced football guys that he assigned to run his football team to do things they didn't want to do. He should let them do what they want to do and then judge them accordingly and, if necessary, harshly. That's what he should have done. And that's my problem more so than anything else. I think Johnny Manziel's a playmaker. That's no doubt. But, Skip, here's the thing. As I look at Johnny Manziel's numbers, he's completing 59% of his passes this year, okay? Obviously, yesterday he looked better than he has. And even though he hasn't looked great, and there's no 3-step, 4-step, 5-step drops where it's calling for him to be the conventional, prototypical quarterback, the fact of the matter is, Skip, he has shown that he has put in some work. And he has improved from what we saw last year. So if that's the reality, and you're 2-8, atmosphere over with, we're going to give you the last 6 games to show us who you are. And we'll decide based off of that whether you will be here or not. That's where he has earned the starting nod. So the Cleveland Browns can move in a forward direction as opposed to torturing themselves and their fan base by this back and forth nonsense week to week. 6 games for Johnny Manziel is more than enough right now to find out whether or not he should be on this roster come next year.
And by the way, I'm not a Mike Patton fan. I remain a Johnny fan. So going forward, do I think Johnny could be more valuable to this franchise than Mike Patton? Yes. Do I think Mike Patton could be fired after this year? I'll be surprised if he's back next year. So you're exactly right. It would behoove the owner, Jimmy Haslam, to say, okay, that's enough of this. Let's just play Johnny and see what happens. See what we got.
Let's see what happens.
Speaking of backup quarterbacks, Big Ben made quite the backup quarterback yesterday, showing out a ridiculous performance. More First Take after the break. Stay with us. The Panthers remain unbeaten, but everyone is talking about Cam breaking it down in the end zone. The Titans not pleased by Cam's lengthy touchdown dance after his rushing TD with 2:42 to play. That gave the Panthers a 27-10 lead. Here's what Cam had to say about his celebration.
I heard somebody say, you know, we're not going to allow you to do that. But, you know, I'm a firm believer if you don't like me to do it, then don't let me in.
He might have a point. Skip, did you have a problem with Cam's celebration?
Stephen A., I didn't love it. I like his premise, and I've always agreed with the fact that if you don't like it, keep him out of the end zone, so he can't do it. But in this case, with this celebration, I just thought it was a little much for a franchise quarterback. Little too long, little too drawn out, little too over the top for me, in my view, of what a franchise quarterback and the leader of a football team should or should not do. Always like the Superman. We talked about it in the past. He's done it when they've been way down in games. But when it's right, when it's on time, the Superman celebration, short, sweet, extremely effective, because it's telling the defense, you can't stop me. I am Superman, especially when it comes to a goal line play in which he launches himself as if he can fly over the goal line and extends the football for the touchdown. Love that, believe in that. But in this case, Stephen A., I've talked so much, we talked so much about the maturation of Cam Newton, his emergence as the leader of this football team. And in this case, I thought it was a little beneath him to celebrate like a sort of a diva wide receiver would, who gets all caught up in the emotion and goes into a more lengthy, drawn-out celebration. So no big deal. But if you ask me if I have a problem with it, best way I can put it is I did not love it.
Well, again, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm entitled to believe that's absolutely ridiculous. You know, we talk about Psycho Tom. We ain't got no problems with that. You know, as far as I'm concerned, that's Cam Newton. That's a part of his personality. Yeah, it may not have been the Superman. Instead of this time, he's dancing in the end zone. But all of that are remnants of his personality. It's who he is. Nothing about what he did was inconsistent with what he does when he gets into the end zone. It's usually Superman, but every now and then he throws a little twist into the mix and do something extra. And if you don't like it, then stop him from getting in the end zone. Do something about it. But as long as this brother's out there doing what he is doing, leading his team to an undefeated record, top seed in the NFC, balling the way that they ball, I don't want to hear that nonsense from the Tennessee Titans. Win a damn football game. You're 2-7. En route to another anemic, underachieving, disappointing season where you're robbing folks in Nashville, Tennessee, and in the state of Tennessee of their money. Now, it may not affect them as much as it affects other people because there's no state income tax there in the state of Tennessee. So the money that you end up losing there ain't going to hurt as much, ain't going to pinch you as much as if you were living in New York and certainly California. But nevertheless, the point is that either way you slice it, they brought it on themselves because they couldn't stop them, because they couldn't keep them out of the end zone, because they couldn't handle their business, as has been the case with numerous franchises, whether it's Buffalo, Miami, Indy, or whatever. They find ways to lose football games in Tennessee, whether Marcus Mariota is quarterbacking them or not, whether Ken Wisenhunt is coaching them or not. Now they got Mike Mularkey. He's 1-1 as a head coach. Congratulations. In the end, what it comes down to is that Cam Newton and his personality and his willingness to showcase and display and all of that other stuff does not deserve to be criticized and excoriated on this show because his style, his flair, what he decides to do is not something that vibes with Skip Bayless. If Tom Brady was Psycho Tom and he carried it on a few seconds a little bit longer than we are accustomed to seeing, I don't think you would have been complaining then. I think you would have said, yo, Tennessee, why don't you do something about it? It ain't his fault that he's so much better than you. Well, if it applies to Tom Brady, it applies to Cam Newton. Even though Cam Newton isn't Tom Brady, even though he doesn't have those numbers, they do have the same record. Every game they've played has ended up with a win, and none of them have ended up with a loss. They're both undefeated at 9-0 this year. They're doing their thing. Tom Brady, a.k.a. Psycho Tom, has his personality, and Cam Newton has his. A matter of fact, let me say for the record, I'd much rather prefer Cam Newton's style. I think he's got a little better rhythm. I think the flair looks a little bit better. So I actually like his celebrations in the end zone far more than I like Tom Brady. I'm just saying. We all got our style preferences. Cam Newton got, he's a brother, got a little bit different style to him than Psycho Tom. You like your ways, I like mine. I see no problem with Cam Newton whatsoever. I actually liked it.
Okay, first of all, I did not excoriate Cam Newton in what I just said. I said I did not love it for the leader and franchise quarterback of a football team to go into that extended of a celebration that seemed almost choreographed. Tom Brady has no idea what he's doing on the football field after he throws a touchdown pass.
Really?
When he's out of his mind. He is psycho Tom.
Really?
And he's not doing anything that's choreographed. He's running down, and he is head-butting. He is helmet-butting with Rob Gronkowski in the end zone. That's
Tom Brady
just
has no
raw
idea.
emotion.
So Tom Brady's just raw emotion. He has absolutely no idea. But you treat Cam Newton like he went to a dance class, got a dance teacher to choreograph a move for him to practice in the end zone. How come he can't be doing it extemporaneously? How come Cam Newton? Let me tell you something, Skip. There are a few brothers that know how to step into the end zone on the dance floor, wherever the case, and be very impromptu, off the cuff, and look like they've practiced it for ages, but they didn't have to because they just got that kind of flair and flow and rhythm into their game. But Tom Brady, oh my goodness, he didn't know. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know he's headbutting somebody. He doesn't know he's pumping his. Oh, he doesn't know, really. He doesn't know. Okay, Skip. All right, no problem. He doesn't know.
All I care about is Tom Brady can flat out dance in the pocket, and that's all that really matters.
Well, Cam Newton ain't too shabby. Cam Newton ain't too shabby.
Are you not entertained? I am staying out of this one. The Panthers host Washington on Sunday. Johnny be good. Manziel plays well in a losing effort at Pittsburgh. So has he earned the starting job for the Browns? That's the discussion when we come back. Stay here.